You're listening to The Moose and the Loose, your 10 minutes action-packed financial podcast with your host, Mike Yahoo. Hey, what's up, Market Moose? Mike from The Moose on the Loose. I hope you're doing well today. Yesterday, I talked about 5 reasons why a bear market could be coming, so bad moment for your portfolio. So we discussed election, war, consumers that are struggling, the technology hype with the rise of AI, and the government deficit. So a lot of pretty valid reason why there could be a big recession followed by a market crash. So today, I'm a positive guy, so I want to be on the positive side most of the time. So we're going to counter this episode with another 5 reasons, but this time it is for why we're going to have a bull market that is coming. Kudos to Simon Bélanger at the Keen Investor podcast. He was discussing some of those reasons not too long ago, and I thought that was just fun to have like a 5 reason why there's a bear market and 5 reason why there's a bull market. So I just want to thank him for the inspiration. And the number 5, the 5th reason on my list is actually one of his, was that there is a very high level of liquidity on the market. There are a lot of investors keeping cash on the side. So when you look at all the money invested in high interest rate savings accounts and GICs and other liquidity investments, well, that money could eventually go back to the stock market, and that would be enough to support a bull market. I've looked at this liquidity level several times in the past, and every time it is on the rise, it is a good indicator that whenever there will be a market crash or something like this, or a correction, well, a lot of investors will jump back in, which will support the market moving forward. So it's always interesting to see that while we have plenty of reasons to think that everything's going to go sideways, we also have plenty of reason to think that the bull market is coming up. Actually, it reminds me of a story. I was a financial planner back then. I think it was around like 2012 or 2013, where a lot of governments in Europe, like we were talking about the pigs back then, so Portugal, Ireland, Italy, Greece, Spain, they all had like budget problems. Their bonds rate were super high. There was a lot of like uncertainties on the market. And our president back then kind of told us like, well, I believe that we're going to run into another bull market. And that was, like I said, like 2012, 2013-ish. Well, he was right. I mean, it's kind of funny because a lot of people in the room was quite skeptical about what he was about what he was saying. But even then, I mean, if you were in cash between 2012 and today, you kind of miss one of the best bull run ever, right? So thankfully, I've always stayed invested, and that paid well. So just to add to that, whenever you're thinking that everything's going to go wrong, maybe you are wrong. Number 4 on my list, artificial intelligence will actually improve productivity. I've used it myself for my business. I've seen a lot of like other companies using AI. It's not going to completely transform the world, but you can definitely improve your productivity. So we are already since 22 in a world where a lot of businesses are initiating cost-cutting programs and efficiency programs, mostly because they have to pay a higher interest charges, so that and inflation also squeeze their margin, so they're trying to find ways to improve productivity. So I think AI will be part of that solution, and if a lot of companies are able to manage their costs with this, well, they're going to make more profit, and more profit means a higher stock price. Number 3, speaking of companies having a higher stock price and improving their productivity, I'm reviewing a lot of companies every quarter, and my number 3 is many companies right now are thriving. There are a lot of businesses showing a strong dividend triangle. So quarter after quarter, revenues and earnings are growing, and every year they offer a dividend increase. So that is also a sign that the end of the world is not around the corner, and maybe there are a lot of great opportunities on this market, even if we seem to be trading at a all-time high every single day. Speaking of which, I will give you some of my tricks on how I find stocks, and I'm going to share some stock ideas today, this afternoon, actually, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. There is a free webinar that I host in partnership with Dividend Earner. So you can register at dividendstocksrock.com/dividend-earner-webinar. So that's dividendstocksrock.com /dividend-earner-webinar. We're going to talk about my investment process and how I am able to find a conviction in investing at a all-time high market. Speaking of that, there is always an opportunity waiting around the corner. There are always plenty of opportunities on the stock market. So maybe you find that everything is overvalued, but if you look carefully, you're going to find plenty of companies that are trading at a pretty fair valuation. And by fair valuation, I mean companies that have been trading at a PE ratio around 20 times their earnings for like the past 5 to 10 years, and they're still trading at 20 times the earnings. So yes, maybe their stock price is at all-time high, but that just means that they have also never generated more profit than today. So if their earnings per share is at a all-time high, it's just normal that it drives the stock price. So you have to look at those companies and then figure out if the narrative that was valid over the past 5 and 10 years that pushed that company to generate more revenue and more earnings during that period is still valid today. And if the narrative is still around, well, maybe those companies will continue to grow more profit. And if they grow profit, you know what's going to happen? Earnings per share will increase and the stock price will be driven by more earnings. It's just that simple. It would not make sense if a company doubled its profit over the next 5 years and the stock price would not move, right? That would not make any sense because investors, they want to invest in thriving companies. They want to invest in successful companies. And I'm sure you do too. So this is why there are always opportunities on the stock market. Maybe right now, the only thing is you have to dig in a little bit deeper. The last reason, but certainly not the least, why I am bullish right now is I don't invest for the next 3 months. I invest for the next 30 plus years. And this argument is also valid if you're 65 today, because your chances of living up till the age of 85, 90 are very good. So you know what? You're going to go through several bull markets and several bear markets again and again and again, assuming they happen between every 5 to 10 years. So if you have another 20, 25 years to live, chances are you're still in for like 1 or 2 of each of those. So there's no reason to panic and go cash, because if you go cash, the big problem here is every year you're losing money because your buying power is eroding. It's going down. So assuming you pay taxes on your interest, well then boom, you're done. You're not making money. You cannot keep up with inflation. And for all those reasons, it's better off to find a way to invest. So the key here is to have a high level of conviction in your strategy, because if you understand what you do and why you do it, well, then you won't mind if there's a bear market, because you know that your portfolio will be strong enough to simply go through the storm and survive. So that is the most important reason why I'm always bullish. Actually, I've been bullish for the past 21 years. And why I'm saying 21 years? Well, simply because this is when I started investing. And that is super important. If you are afraid, if you are not certain about what's going to happen, it's normal. The market is always crazy. There are always uncertainties. There will be election. There will be government deficits. There will be wars. There will be recessions. But what's important here is to stick to your strategy, because if you do, you don't have to worry about all those factors, because the end of the world has not happened yet. And to be honest, between you and me, if it ever happens, your portfolio is not going to save you anyway. So think about that for a second, right? All right, Moose, that's enough for today. Tomorrow it's Business Friday, and I'm going to talk about the fact that your competitor is actually your friend. Yeah, I know, ironic, but that's true. So stay tuned and stay invested.
Hey, welcome to the disclaimer. If you're listening to The Moose on the Loose, you cannot really expect me to give you buy or sell recommendation or financial advice, right? You're here for fun, you're here for information and some entertainment. But I am not your financial advisor, I am not your broker, so therefore I'm not liable if you're losing money after listening to the podcast. If you're looking for some advice, go see a professional. If not, you can enjoy the show and do your due diligence after it.